back to the Pitch Pod, everyone. I'm your host, Jeff Stebbins. I'm so excited that you all are joining us here at the pod they call Pitch, the Pitch Pod, where we talk soccer, all things happening soccer or football, depending on where you live in the world. I'm joining this evening with my co-host, Joe Janner. Joe, how you doing this evening?
Doing well, Jeff. Happy to be here. As always, looking forward to the conversation and the questions and answers that we hopefully will provide to our listeners to get them as excited about what we're talking about and what we're looking forward to viewing for our featured match of the week.
Perfect. Yeah, we're choosing to focus on a LaLiga match for this episode, and it's going to be Rayo v Athletic, the number 6 team versus the number 9 team. But before we go into that match, we have to review a pretty good match, don't we, Joe?
Well, it was the EFL Cup final, Manchester United versus Newcastle, with a result of 2-0. And Jeff, you hit it right on the nail, or as you'd like to call it with the Pitch Pod, ring dinger. Nailed it.
Ring a ding ding. Nailed it. That's what I'm talking about. That's my first ring dinger in quite a while. So thank you for that shout out. I appreciate it. I needed it. I needed a ring dinger. I got a ring dinger, right? Manchester United. And I think I even mentioned that I thought Rashford would put one on the board. I guess it's questionable whether or not it got counted for him or it got counted as an own goal. But last I checked, they did give him the credit for the goal. So I'll give myself a little extra pat on the back there. And Man U, Ten Hag pulled it off. 2-0 victory like I thought they would. It was a fun match to watch. What were your initial takeaways from it?
It was competitive. Maybe not indicative of the scoreline. I thought it was going to go a little bit further. If you recall, I thought it might go into extra time and lend itself to a penalty case. Still predicted Manchester United to win. But probably what stood out mostly for me is that the idea that Newcastle, as competitive as they were and as in the game as they were, their inability to, once they got into the final third, to create chances and to score. That's probably why they are a side that has drawn so many within the league. But to be in a final, maybe there was another approach. Maybe they needed to have a means or go about it in a way that knowing they need to score at least one if they're going to be a winner. So I think that's probably the biggest takeaway is, again, you're looking at Newcastle's side, very efficient, effective in terms of having an idea of a means to way to play through the thirds and get into that final third. But it was just seemed to stop off there. Not necessarily so much what the opposition did, but I think that it's lack of creativity and means to go about put themselves in scoring opportunities. And that's what we saw in that match.
Yeah, absolutely. And then we previously discussed Nick Pope, Newcastle's star goalkeeper, being out. And I think you mentioned to me as the game was going on that one of those goals, I don't know if you changed your opinion on that, but one of the goals that took place, you believe that their starting goalkeeper probably would have stopped it. Do you stand by that?
It was, again, if we're talking about Rashford's goal with the deflection and the way that it went about finding the back of the net, I still felt like the goalkeeper that they had in place was a little bit reactionary to it. Maybe a better, more well-conditioned or more experienced goalkeeper would have made that stop. Again, it's always tough to tell when you start having the question of deflections and the ball's rotation and trajectory. But I still think that it was a little reactionary on the part of the keeper. We could talk about positioning, but I still give, I'm not taking away anything from Rashford as well. I think that he's, again, that's what his job is, to be in those positions in those times to strike the ball and to, you put the ball in frame, things happen. In this case, the goal was scored.
Absolutely. And Rashford had a very good game. He's been a great player. I will say this, of course, there's a little luck involved with that goal for sure with the deflection, but it seemed like his strikes, yes, they were on frame, but it seems like he wasn't striking the ball as well as he normally would. And a player of his caliber, I guess I would just expect to see some better strikes, but maybe it's just an off match for him. And I guess it happens for everyone, but he was in the right spot at the right time, and he put it on frame, and like as you said, things do happen. So yeah, I don't want to be overly critical of him by any means. But that kind of brings us to kind of our man of the match, Joe. And I'll let you go first on this one. But Rashford played great. I don't want to take anything away from him. But there was a couple Man U players that you could pick for your man of the match here, and so I'm kind of curious to see who you're going to choose.
Well, I think often maybe a cliche since that first goal is so important, and the fact that Casemiro found himself in a position to head the ball into the back of the net to score first after what was essentially 30 plus minutes or so of them back and forth. I think that lends itself to him being the man of the match. Also, I mean, his contribution throughout, I think, lends itself again. So that would be my selection, Casemiro, for the man of the match in this contest.
That's a good selection. Absolutely. Yeah, I thought that goal was definitely a game changer momentum wise, and it shows you the kind of caliber of player that he is. He's a proven player with championships under his belt. So I think another reason I'm a big fan of Ten Hag is the trading that he's been doing with his team, and signing Casemiro, who is having a big impact. As long as he can stay on the field and play, um, he's having a huge impact. And so, yeah, my man of the match is also Casemiro. Sorry, Joe.
No, it's fine. I mean, that's oftentimes if it's someone who stays out, it could be consensus on the pitch. But we're okay at times agreeing, right, Jeff?
We agree, we disagree, and this is one of the occasions where we agree. He's my man of the match, and yes, the goal was huge, but more than that, I think it's just his overall contribution defensively as well. He did great. So I'm really pleased with Ten Hag and Man U and how they've transitioned away from Ronaldo, and how they're being creative with their goals, be it Rashford or Casemiro. So yeah, hats off to them, and it was a great match. But looking forward, like I said, we're focusing on La Liga this week. The number 6 team versus the number 9 team. It's Rayo v Athletic. Two quality teams going at it, separated by just a few points. At this stage, I just checked the win probability, and at this point, most people are predicting Athletic will win this with a 37% chance over Rayo at sitting at a 33% chance. So they're thinking it's going to be a close game, but people are giving the nod mostly to Athletic.
And I look at it a little bit differently. I mean, you have Rayo Vallecano that has, I mean, positioned themselves in 6th, which qualifies them at this stage for European competition, which is huge for a club such as Rayo Vallecano. And they're at 34 points versus the 32 for Athletic Club. I think that at home, and I think if we look through the results, they've done really well there, performance-wise and results. So I really think that this is going to be their game. It's not going to be enough whether they win to push them up further into the table, but I think it's going to solidify that spot and continue to help them to build their momentum. They haven't really quite been in form as of late, but I think this could be one where they bounce back and show that they are, in this case, the better team of the two. And so I have them winning this one, Jeff.
That makes sense. I mean, they're ranked higher for a reason, right? I guess what concerns me is possibly kind of some recent matches that they've had. And I'm really impressed with what we've seen out of the Ghana striker Williams for Athletic, as well as the other attacker who also has the last name Williams for them. I think they're both good threats with the ability to score at any given chance. So I think it's going to be a tough game. I think it's going to be a very, very close game, but I'm actually leaning in the opposite direction. So this will be a fun game to watch, and an interesting prediction that we're about to have. So, Joe, whenever you're ready for the score, I am also ready, and I'm excited to see what you're going to say.
Well, sticking with what I initially suggested, Rayo Vallecano with the win, and they're capable of scoring, and I see them consistently being able to, in these types of contests, do what they have to do to win. But it's going to take more than one goal. So I do believe it's 2 Rayo Vallecano versus 1 for Athletic Club. 2-1.
Okay, so we both think it's going to be a close match. I haven't revealed my score, but spoiler alert, it's going to be close. Okay, I could see that happening. I could. The home field advantage is huge in these matches. I'm going to go in the other direction. I have faith in what Athletic's been doing lately, and I'm impressed by their strikers. So I'm going to go 1-0 Athletic winning this.
So we're getting a reverse or in opposition to each other, our prediction. But I think, but most, again, why we look at these matches is because we're excited about the idea that how close these contests could or should be based on where they're on the standings, the previous results and performances of these teams. So I think hopefully those that are listening and looking forward to this.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely. This is going to be a fun one for everyone at home watching. So, yeah, it's going to be a fun match. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens. Please check out our YouTube channel. If you prefer to listen to podcasts, it's also available on Apple and Spotify podcasts. If you just want to listen to the audio, please like and subscribe if you're able to. We would appreciate it at the Pitch Pod. And so thank you everyone for tuning in. And as always, keep pitching out there. Thanks everybody.
In a game, the round ball, round posts, anything can happen.